Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year! Welcome to the first HSO broadcast of 2019, and we're kicking off the Procar Series 1980 with round one at Donington Park. Cars are out finishing their qualifying session. I'm joined in the booth by Alberto Banyas. Alberto, good evening.
Good evening, everybody. Pleased to be here for another session, another series, another year of great racing here at HSO. Some new faces, new mods, lots of things that we are going to go through in a moment and explain and present to you.
Yes, as I mentioned, we are at Donington Park, and we are going to be using the short course for this race. The race is 40 laps long over a 1.957 mile circuit, which translates to a little over 78 miles. And this is the very much anticipated Procar Series. And here's a look at the cars themselves. The 1980 BMW M1 Procar. Engine is a 3.5 liter double overhead cam inline 6. Power is 470 horsepower at 9,000 revs. Torque is 282 pound-feet at 7,000 revs. The body is fiberglass. The frame is a box section steel variety. Top speed of this car rather surprised me, 192 miles per hour. I don't think we'll be seeing that today, but this is a short course. But the fact that it's capable of that surprised me a little bit. 0 to 60 in the bracket of 4 seconds. Are there any details you would like to relay about these cars, Alberto?
Well, these are cars, as Nelson Piquet himself described, that had a lot more power than handling. So they are very delicate to drive, and especially when you are on the brakes, when you are doing heavy braking from high speeds, they are very delicate. The rear tends to move around a lot and is as if it's going to overtake you. These were cars that were developed by BMW when they wanted to end the touring cars and the GT Cars Championship and the DRM. So it was a base for the Group 5 car that had to get a turbocharger, and actually when they developed it got to nearly 1,000 horsepower. This is the base version, the Group 4 version of the car. And well, it's a hard to drive car. I mean, it's not difficult if you are going pacing yourself and trying to do endurance racing, but if you're going for the sprint races, as here the case, with the knife between your teeth, then it can become quite nasty. And good proof of that is that the real Formula 1 drivers that had a go at this car, many of them suffer spins. You can see, for example, in the Procar race at Donington in the previous season to this one that we are recreating, that no other than Alan Jones suffered that. Mario Andretti also got a spin, James Hunt, many of the drivers, even the Formula 1's drivers, the best drivers, were not exactly comfortable in these cars. But it was a great one-make series, one that is still fondly remembered, and well, it should be giving us a lot of entertainment and fun, because the cars are absolutely equal, which means that what you will be seeing on screen is purely down to driving talent. And I guess that brings us to our grid, Jason, to present some of our drivers.
Yes, well, right now we're on board with Dave Miller, and I believe we are. Hang on a second. Yes, it is Dave Miller, driving car number 91, and he's coming around now. He's going to be starting a full lap, so we'll have a chance to see this Donington track from the start. So here he goes into the chicane, which is the very last corner on the circuit. Accelerate. Oh, well, of course, he's going to the pits. Best laid plans. All right, let's find somebody else then. Here we have Cesarius Schlepinski, and he is about to complete a lap, so let's take a lap with him. He overtakes David Young, who's slowing for the chicane. Goes through the chicane now, and now on to the main straight to start a lap at Donington. You see the marks for the grid. The start-finish line is actually rather close to the first turn. Oh, goodness. You may have noticed that there's a bit of a dip in the track there, which looks kind of funny, but it appears that it's not worse for wear for the cars. Now Cesarius is heading down the back side of the track and goes through a series of turns here. And this is difficult because of the elevation change, and you're trying to maintain speed and shift gears, and doing all that while you're turning the car is not as easy as it might sound. Now he throws the car sideways into this right-hander that leads onto a little dog leg that runs uphill into this kind of tricky double apex that will now lead him back onto the main straight. And he leaves the ground there just a tiny bit because it drops out from underneath him. And here he is back at the chicane again. Right, left, and back onto the main straight. So that's one lap of this version of Donington. So what predictions do you have for this race, Alberto?
Well, there's several points that should be highlighted. First of all, this is basically a sprint race. This is going to be a 45 to 50 minutes race. Everybody's going to be completely flat out from the very beginning, because what you don't do in the first laps, you likely won't have time to do it later. So this is one of the funny things of this formula. Everybody needs to be very aggressive from the beginning. Second point, it's tires. We have had several reports from drivers that you have to be careful with them. It's a bit contradictory, but while you have to drive with a knee, with a knife on your teeth, as we said, funnily enough, you have to conserve the tires, because otherwise they will become too hot, greasy, and slide the car a lot, which means you will be losing time, if not spinning it completely around. And then, as far as drivers are concerned, you can see at the top that our most talented drivers, Austin Johnson, Grant Riddle, Thiago Canola, they are separated by a merely 100th of a second. And well, it will be quite interesting to see what they are going to do at turn one and then during the whole race, because it doesn't seem as if any of them is going to be able to get away and just kiss goodbye to everybody.
Well, I'm going to restart my game just real quickly here, because I'm having a bit of the same chatter that you were experiencing. We were having a bit of a lag that was occurring offline, so I'm going to restart my system really fast. Perhaps while we are doing that, you can talk about what we have coming up at HSO in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, this is right now the beginning of the season, so everything has been coming out in the threads and start to be offered in the forum. I guess that Richard Coulson is going to publish today the list of the admitted drivers to the Kart 88 season. That's the main championship that we will be doing during the whole year. As you all know, this is the Kart 88 mod that got so much praise and gave us so much fun racing back in 2017, and it's been now converted to Automobilista and improved by our very own Richard Wilkes. We will be doing the same venues, except that we will be adding this time the Meadowlands, yes, the mythical New Jersey circuit that was, well, one of the few times that New York saw, despite its importance, IndyCar racing in the last years. That circuit, we will be having it, and we will be racing at the other venues. We will be doing our Indianapolis 500 again this year, this time with this IndyCar 88 mod. And then there's also another series that will be taking place on the Wednesdays. Wednesday racing for us is usually touring car racing. And it's again a series that we have done previously in our factor and has been converted to Automobilista. It's the British Touring Car Championship from 1996. With the mythical Super Tourers, those 2-liter engine, 4-door saloon cars that were so interesting to watch and that gave, well, such entertaining championships. They drove everywhere in the world, and they absolutely ruled for the several years when they drove around. And mind you, they will be also driving here, and these cars, interestingly, did almost the same lap times as these Pro cars, even if they had like 100 horsepower less than this. So that's what technology gives you in the 90s when it comes to going quick around the track like this. That British Touring Car Championship, like I said, will be our Wednesday racing offering, and everybody is invited to come there because it's I think it's interesting for everyone who did the racing before to compare with R Factor and see how much Automobilista improves the physics of the game and the feel of the cars. I mean, that's a direct, same as with IndyCar, direct and one-to-one comparison, and you can get a feel of the improvement that this game means. Same thing for kart, as I said, and in this case you will be experiencing something that I'm not sure. I think that Assetto Corsa has it, but no other mainstream game has, which is real turbo effects. Everybody will be contending this year in the Kart 88 mode with real turbo lag. That's going to be also interesting because it's, I believe, completely new to most people that have been sim racing here with us. So that rounds up for now what is our main championships, but we should be soon announcing also open races, which, as you know, compose later the Gold Star Championship. That's the championship that ties together all the open races that we are having over the year. And we have there, well, some interesting offers also. There will be some still for our Factor. Those are probably some of the last races we will be doing with our Factor in our league. But there will be, I would say, quite interesting nevertheless. Long races, very interesting variety of cars. What you don't see in the Sunday Championships, that's what you will be driving in the Gold Star Series. So well, we've put a lot of effort in this season. Even if we are repeating many championships, I can tell you behind the scenes there's a lot of work going on to offer these championships in Automobilista and the new tracks. So I guess there is a seat for everybody, and there's going to be a lot of fun and entertainment.
Yeah, I would add that changing these cars to AMS is not simply a plug-and-play operation. A lot of work has gone into this, so I think I've said before, but you know, it's great to see. Oh my goodness! It appears that I'm having the same issue that you had for a while, Alberto, with cars making funny transitions here and there.
Yeah, it's probably an internet issue because I can tell you, because little Alberto is racing here, is in the room next to me, that he is not experiencing that while driving. So it's something that we are watching, seeing, but not an issue for the drivers. Hopefully it goes away.
Hopefully it does. It could be a it could be a function of the number of cars that we have on track, because when I was watching earlier, and there were about 20 or so, I don't recall seeing this problem. So hopefully this will sort itself out. I turned down my anisotropic settings to 4 just to see if it would clear it up a little bit, but unfortunately that's not the case. So it looks as if it's, you know, irrespective of graphics, it's an internet thing. So
hopefully it's something we'll be able to solve in the future.
Hopefully, yes. Until then, we're going to have to deal with watching the cars do strange two-wheel acrobatics at certain points on the track. The fact that it happens at the same points again and again makes me think that it's actually a potentially it's a track issue. But in any case, reiterating what Alberto was saying before, lots of interesting stuff coming up. And just to be more specific about that, next week we have the Checker 200 on Sunday. Their IndyCar season gets underway with a 200-mile race at the Phoenix International Raceway, which is essentially like fighter jets in a basketball arena. But it'll be very interesting to see these cars back at Phoenix again. It's definitely high-stakes racing. Can't make any mistakes. Can't touch the wall, obviously. And that's going to be next Sunday. Then the following Sunday, we'll continue with this series that you're watching now at Avis, which is going to be a venue where the top speed of these cars will be able to be revealed, I assume. And that's going to be on Sunday, January 27th. One other thing that we should point out before we get too far here, the way that the drivers' points are awarded in this series. First is 20 points, second 15 points, third 12 points, fourth is 10 points, fifth is 8, and then you have 6, 4, 3, 2, and 1, so the top 10 score points. So once the warm-up is over, the drivers will be proceeding to the race session, and we will switch over to that and give you the full grid. I'd like to say hello to everybody who's watching on YouTube and wish you all a very happy new year. Hope you had a lovely holiday season wherever you were in the world. It's funny how quickly these years go by. It's always like, well, shoot, the planning for the following season, it's almost like we were doing that for the 18th season yesterday, and now suddenly it's the 19th season. They seem to click off quickly.
And don't laugh, because there have been internal discussions already about the 2020 season.
Oh, good grief.
Yes. You know, I already mentioned it. There's, well, not to put myself any medals, if you know what I mean, but there's a lot of work going behind the stages. I mean, running the league and doing the mods and all that, it takes an awful amount of work. So it's never too early to start on this. And yes, guys, believe it or not, we have already started discussions about the 2020 mod.
So about 5 minutes to go until the start of the race. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this series from the simple point of view that it's a spec series, and seeing everybody basically it's skill that's going to delineate drivers from each other. There's not going to be any kind of advantage one way or the other. I mean, there's very little adjustability in these cars, right?
Yes, they are GT cars. They had certainly some adjustability, but for this series they were limited considerably. There was an engine limiter for the RPM, and you could certainly change things, but these are not open body cars. You had to disassemble lots of things if you want to do things like gear ratios and suspension and all that, so the adjustments practically were not many. Basically the rear wing and the anti-sway bars would allow you to change a bit the balance of the car, but not a lot more.
I guess visually, looking at this car compared to the road version of the car, you would probably say that the differences are in the wing that is added, the fascia, the lower fascia in the front, and then the wheel flares because of the wider wheel track.
Yeah, that's basically
that's basically the visual differences of this car. From
Interestingly, the original race version wasn't planned to have that wing. Mm-hmm. What happened was that they got so much downforce from the front spoiler and so much lift on the rear because of the car design that it became simply undrivable at high speeds. So when they were doing tests, I think it was at Paul Ricard at one moment, they were lucky that they had some, I think it was some Group 5 teams testing other cars there, and believe it or not, they simply borrowed a wing from one of the cars there and said, let us try that, and that allowed to stabilize the rear of the car, so they made it stick.
That's funny.
So essentially, imagine Mark Webber's off at Le Mans, and you can imagine what the M88 was like before they put that race wing on.
Yeah, I can tell you, because Markus Höttinger, that was one of the developers of the car, and I read it in the book. There is a great book about the BMW that was published with the 14th anniversary of the car, and they said that the poor guy was more time on the side of the track than on the tarmac when he was testing the car initially, because it was so complicated to drive, especially at high speeds. It's interesting, however, that this car that only raced 2 years in this Procar series and then went on to race in the GT Championship, but was a complete failure, so to speak, because by that time the FIA had changed the rules and the car had become somehow outdated, and at the same time BMW entered Formula 1, so they forgot this project. But this car, like I was saying, that it was driven just in those 2 Procar championship years, became immediately mythical, and there's so many people nowadays that still remember that car, that know it, that you wouldn't believe it when you consider how little it raced and the publicity that it got. Obviously, having been around the Formula 1 cars gave it a big boost, and having the Formula 1 drivers drive it, but still it's incredible.
All right, so we got 1 minute to go until we kick off the 2019 season. Watching Lucas Vidra, now one of the newer drivers, HSO, raced a little bit last year.
And I know he was looking very much forward to this championship. He likes the GT cars. Also, we have several new faces here. We welcome here Rhys Gardiner, who is a racer. I think Jonathan knew him already previously. He has his own YouTube channel and he is known as Southpaw Racer. Incredibly enough, and with a lot of merit and credit given to him, he races with just one arm because he has a problem with his right arm, so he does everything with his left arm. But here you see him doing quite well with these cars, doing manual shifting and all the thing. We also have some other drivers that have been only very recently with us, like John Cook, besides Lucas Vidra. And, well, we should be seeing all of them here on track today do their best in this first race of the season.
It certainly will be a difficult one for us, but...
Oh, there's Jonathan. Yeah, Jonathan's racing as well, and he's going to have us on microphone. I don't know why he wants to do that, because I would be incredibly distracted. But in any case, Godspeed to you, Jonathan, as we are now heading to the grid. 40 laps of this circuit. Probably about a 45-minute race, I would say. So it's not going to be of the 2-hour variety or hour and 45-minute variety that some of our other races are, but still I think it'll be a lot of fun. That urgency actually will probably play into the results.
Some people still to join the grid.
All right, so
you're waiting too much.
We've got Tiago in the front row, so as soon as the cars pull away on their formation lap, is there a formation lap?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good, because otherwise I won't have any time to go through the grid.
Formation lap and then starting from a standing. So
all right, and away they go. So on the pole is Tiago Canola driving the B&S Fabrications entry, number 25. Then we have Austin Johnson in the number 5 entry. I have to go back to looking at the cars on the track individually. Starting third is Grant Riddall in the Project 4 car. Fourth, David Jakes in the Manfred Cassini Racing entry. Fifth, Jakob Fredriksson in the Eggenberger Motorsports car. Sixth is David Yunt. Seventh, Peter Hlavik in the Team Merzario entry. There's a familiar name. John Team starts 8th in the Schutz Racing entry. 9th is Yves Placé in another B&S Fabrications car. 10th, Juha Boss driving the Pooh Jeans sponsored car. You can insert your own joke there. 11th is Ray Riddall in the first of the GS tuning cars. 12th is Jason White in the Marco Rennsport entry. 13th is Rhys Gardner, newcomer to HSO, in another B&S Fabrications car. 14th, Steve Parker. 15th, Jonathan Asserclanth. Good luck to you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
16th, Dave Miller in the Sauber Racing Switzerland car. 17th, David Saber in the other GNS tuning car. 18th, Adam Hackman. 19th, Cesarius Lipinski. 20th, Raul Ureb in the Team Schnitzer number 63. 21st, Little Al in another Team Schnitzer entry. Lucas Vidra, 22nd. Timo Vermeers, 23rd. 24th is Gerard Riron. And 25th, Mick Chapman. And I believe, we have 3 more cars. Francois Remen, Bruno Chacon, and John Cook, who is not visible on track. I'm not sure why. But the cars... Okay, the cars are now lining up on the grid.
And watch out for the start, because in this track overtaking is not always easy. There is only one clear spot, so what you do in turn 1 may help you a lot in the race.
All right, so everyone's getting ready to go here. Oh, we can hear the lights going. And the race is underway! Tiago Canola peels away really well, but it looks as if Grant Riddall's gotten ahead of Austin Johnson. He has, as they head into the first turn. It's Tiago Canola, Grant Riddall, Austin Johnson, David Jakes. Looks like he's up to 4th place. Excellent start.
Some forward action through turn 1 there on the back of the grid, but otherwise people seem to have been able to get through safely.
Here come the cars now. Oh goodness, lots of dicing going on. Looks like a pylon got thrown askew there. Yes, John Cook did start the race. Timo Vermeers running last at the moment. So it's sort of like where we were picking up after some of the races last year. Tiago and Grant had some skirmishes. So that speaks to their...
Whoa, there's a car now upside down there. Is that Francois Remen? Yes, he is.
It is, yes.
Oh, fortunately the car...
Let's take a look at a replay of this. On the inside of Adam Hackman, this is a replay. Not sure what happened here. Let's see. Through a couple of turns here, and oh, I see what happened. He turned in, and Raul Ureb didn't give him the room that he thought he should have, and went into the dirt. So that's rather unfortunate. He is back on track, though. He's got a bit of damage, but meanwhile, Tiago Canola is being stalked by Grant Riddall fairly closely. It doesn't look like Tiago's getting away easily. This is now I remember the race this is reminding me of. This is like the last Gold Star race we had last year in the F3 cars that we're going to run in the second semester of 19. These two had an excellent fight at Thruxton.
They certainly had. In that case, Grant Riddall came up as victor, but let's see what happens here now.
Because now they're approaching the chicane, and here comes Grant looking down the inside. I think he's a bit ambitious to try that here. And wisely tucks back in, but he's got Austin Johnson right on his tail. So
he's trying to get a feel of the possibility of overtaking Tiago Canola there. That's why he pulls out and then pulls in.
3 laps completed. 3 laps completed. Yeah, these 3 look really well matched here. Austin Johnson stalking Grant Riddall. Austin, of course, was the 2018 Gold Star champion. And he's at home in pretty much any car he drives.
Oh, and Remen has finally quit.
Well,
disconnection.
Oh, shoot. Cool. Well, it may be a situation where his car was also too damaged to continue driving. I mean, these cars
maybe he was experiencing some lag, and that had something to do with
perhaps, but
with the accident. Yes.
But these cars, as Jonathan has pointed out to us, are very challenging to drive when things are completely 100%. So I can imagine that it's even more difficult when something's slightly askew. Lap 4 completed now, and it looks like Austin might have a shot here at Grant Riddall. He's certainly lined up behind him. There he goes. He's looking, but he decides, no, not really. And meanwhile, David Jakes running in 4th place. David Yunt is shadowing him with Jakob Fredriksson in number 66 running in 6th place. And then we have Yves Placé, who I would have thought would have been further up the order in this race, but early days. He's running in 7th. 8th is John Teen. 9th, Juha Boss. And rounding out the top 10 is our newcomer, Reese Gardner, I believe. Yeah, the I is before the N. My apologies, Reese.
Driving the car that in real life belonged to Alan Jones, who was also an Australian.
Oh, yes. So we have art imitating life here at HSO. Meanwhile, the front three are, you can throw a blanket over them right now. Be interesting to see if any of them start to get impatient and go for the inside where they really shouldn't. But it looks like right now they're biding their time. David's got a pretty nice cushion between himself and David Yunt. I don't think he's overly concerned at the moment. Looking further back through the field. Steve Parker running 11th right now. Steve didn't have the best of luck last year, and in fact, I don't think he's had good luck at HSO in many races lately. But
he blew many engines.
Yeah, he blew a lot of engines, but it's good to see him doing well.
Yeah, you can always count with him. I mean, barring any mechanical failure, but like as you see, he's always there as a very constant driver. Now he's suffering a bit.
Grant looks like he's gonna. Well, he's giving Thiago a look. But oh goodness, he has a lot of oversteer coming out of the corner. So yeah, the tire situation is going to definitely be interesting later we go in this race. How much of that is going to play into overtaking and people making mistakes. But I myself am not that surprised to see these three at the front. I mean, these are people who excel in pretty much any car that we race in the league. Looks like David Jakes is increasing his gap to David Yunt a little bit.
Lots of sideways action.
Yeah, I know, and like you were alluding to, that's only going to get worse for them. Better for us, worse for them.
You can see how much the cars move on the braking. The rear becomes so unstable when it gets unloaded on the heavy braking. It's really delicate. You have to go through this to appreciate how the drivers are controlling it, because it's quite interesting. So obviously the ones who are more gifted can use some more of the brake bias towards the rear and get a better braking distance, but then again the car gets even more hairy. So it's always a compromise.
And it's still Thiago leading Grant Riddall and Austin Johnson at the front.
Yes, this usually happens several battles by a pair of guys. There's David Miller putting pressure on David Sabre. There's Peter Lavak trying to overtake Cesarius Lapinski. And then there's Jason Whitey trying to get Steve Parker's position. Up at the front, Grant and Austin Johnson, either they are happy to follow for some time Thiago Canola, or they really are not able to find a way to get past. Whoa, Austin Johnson just went completely sideways to that turn.
I think it's more of a case of if they wanted to get by, they could, but we'll see.
Smoking a lot the tires and the braking in the case of Grant Riddall, and that could make him pay a heavy price, because we know in Automobilista there are flat spots, which means in this game you can get a flat spot on your tire and then it feels as if the tire was completely squared. It will start vibrating and then you lock even more on the next time you're braking. Grant Riddle, who by the way has his birthday today, so we're congratulating him, and I'm sure he wants to celebrate that with a victory. But it doesn't look as if Thiago Canola and Austin Johnson are about to make that any easier.
Well, Grant certainly wants to add to his HSO accolades. Of course, he was the F1 71 champion last year. Took it right down to the wire with Richard Coxon, who I believe is going to be focusing on open wheel efforts this year.
Wow, Cesario is now trying to really block Peter Labak there, who is starting to get anxious, because as we said, this is a short race. So if you think that you're quicker than the person in front, there goes Peter Labak again. Again, this time didn't work out. If you really think that you're quicker than the guy in front, you better overtake him very soon, because otherwise the race may be over before you can prove your worth.
Well, again, it's a short distance of a race. It's not. These races were in many cases supporting races for Formula One, so it was not. It would have been run on a Friday.
Oh, Jonathan now free wide in a sandwich between Timo Vermeersch and Lucas Vidra. All of them behind Bruno Chacon, which is quite interesting because I thought that Bruno was behind him.
Oh, goodness.
I had a moment. Bruno had a moment ahead of me, and I had to check up to not hit him. Same there.
Careful, guys. Oh,
it's so hard to pass when you're in the same car.
Oh goodness, Ślepinski is trying to overtake Peter Hlavik for 14th place. Came very close to doing so in the chicane. And then you got another battle that's brewing between Saber and Dave Miller.
Oh, and Grant Vidal seems to have got the lead. He passed Thiago Canola at some point, and now it's Austin Johnson's turn.
Yes, he has. Let's take a look at a replay, assuming that we can go back far enough.
Yes, I get it now. So that was diving for turn 1.
Well, that makes sense. That would be where it would happen.
Whoa, very skillful maneuver by Grant.
Yep,
very clean driving by both.
Yep, late braking, got alongside, and into the lead.
And now Austin Johnson doesn't want to let Grant Vidal escape, so he's putting some serious pressure on Thiago.
Oh goodness! Look at how quickly Grant is opening the gap. So that I think that answers our question about, if he wanted to get by him, would he have? It looks as if, from my point of view, maybe it's a bit early to make this judgment, but it looked like it certainly looks like Thiago was holding him up, and by extension holding up Austin Johnson. Now Austin's crawling all over the back of Thiago. Yeah, he's very anxious to get by, exactly for the reason you're pointing out, Alberto. He doesn't want Grant to get away.
We are a quarter into the race now, because it's 10 laps out of 40. So people are getting antsy. There goes Austin Johnson sideways against the chicane, doing all he can to overtake Thiago Canola, but just what happens when you're in the same car.
Oh, he's going for it now. No, he can't quite do it.
Yeah, he obviously saw that Grant found the hole there, and he thinks that he can do the same maneuver on Thiago, but it's not that easy. When you're on the same car and you got a driver that is very talented in front of you, it becomes really, really hard.
You can do around here is try to go alongside around the left-hander up towards McLean, and then get the inside for the right-hander. difficult, but it's doable.
Good scrap here between Hlavik and Radal. Just ahead of them, you have Whited and Parker. So this series running together here. This is a battle for 14th place, and they're still raging on as if it was actually a battle for top 5. But I think Jonathan has said it best many times that, you know, even if you're further back in the field, as long as you're having fun battles, that's kind of the spirit of what we do around here.
For sure. Couldn't have said it better myself.
You did say it. I just quoted you, more or less. Looks like Johnson is taking a bit of a break from trying to get by Tiago.
Oh, there's a car there on the sun?
Yeah, yeah. Who is that? It is Timo
Vermeersch,
Vermeersch rejoining. Yeah, I heard a low ebb engine. Wasn't sure who it was.
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Johnson,
Austin is on the
Austin
go.
Johnson's off the track. What's going on?
So what happened there?
I don't know, but he's having his ping has just shot through the roof. He's got a 400 ping right now, dropping now down to 3. I don't know if there was a lag issue there or something, but he just all of a sudden started going for the, and that was very costly. He's lost a position. He's down to 4th now. So.
It's funny, it was completely on his own. All of a sudden the car veered left.
Yeah, but it was accompanied by a huge increase in ping at the same time. The ping went up to like 900. So clearly, I think something's going to have to be addressed post-race as far as the server is concerned. I'm a bit puzzled myself.
Whoa, and now look at Tiago Canola. They were coming up to Bruno Chacon, and Tiago wanted the opportunity to recover his position, but Grant was able to overtake, keeping it.
Well, Tiago certainly... we'll have to see if he's able to reel in Grant Radal. And in another 6 laps or so, we are going to be at the halfway point. So at what point, Alberto, do you think we can start to see tire wear become a factor?
I think somewhere around lap 30 it should become quite obvious. The 10 last laps are going to be hell for those who have not been taking care of the tires.
Well, something to be said about the drivability of these cars and the quality of our field is that we only have 1 retirement so far. A couple of people are a lap down, but we still have 27 runners out of 28.
Oh, Dave Miller now on the brakes against Brad Riddle. Is he able to make it stick? Yes, he is. And Jason Whited almost ran.
There he goes. Oh, Whited did contact him just slightly there, but
yeah, Ray had to do extra braking because he had already lost the position to Dave Miller. So that's the reason that Whited. Oh, Whited!
No!
Look at that!
Jason Whited goes off the track.
What happened there?
He spun just on his own, and he's out of the race. So that's our 2nd retirement. Looks like he just lost the back end. Just a simple oversteer, and I've noticed that if you lock up the front tires, these things the back end will try to overtake the front quite easily. Of course, I was just using a default set, but in any case...
It's about the same no matter what you do to the car, so...
That's one of the treats of the car, as I had explained it before. It's a very heavy car. It's got some braking power in the front, but it's delicate on the brakes, especially if you're trying to reduce very quickly the gears to downshift.
We're looking now at Reese Gardner, who is running in He's running in 10th place, driving Alan Jones's car. And that would be really encouraging for him if he were able to score a point in his first HSO outing. I don't believe he had any starts last year.
Nope,
that's
that's
his
first race here.
This is his debut. So okay.
He got the drive-through penalty, probably been cutting up.
If that isn't the clearest example of the commentator's curse, I don't know what is. I'm praising him, and then right away, he's given a penalty for probably clipping the corners. That's one of the things about this year at HSO, because we're going to be doing so much with AMS. It's very much a situation where you have to, you cannot cut the corner on any of these tracks. You'll be given sort of a 3 strikes scenario, and if you keep doing it, you're going to end up being sent to the pits to do a drive-through. There he goes again, clipping the corner. I'm not sure how long he has until there's someone ducking for the pits, perhaps for a similar situation. That's Timo Vermeersch heading for the pits, but he may have damage.
He may also be looking for new tires since he's been off a couple of
out
times.
of the track. He seems to have
No, he's just doing a roll
either
through.
spun or missed the brakes.
Yeah,
He's now
Timo.
back on.
Timo
back
didn't
on
stop,
the
so
race.
he's just doing the drive-through. So it looks like he had a similar problem. Oh, and now you see one of the interesting quirks of Donington is you have to stop at the end of the pit lane to rejoin, because otherwise you'll drive right into the racing line of one of your competitors, and nobody wants to do that. Oh, John Thiem and Yves Blassé in very close quarters battle here. John looking for a way by, has a bit of a look in the, oh goodness, he cuts the chicane too. People are gonna, this could actually end up affecting the outcome of the race quite seriously if people keep having this issue of cutting chicanes, because like I mentioned before, the game is just not going to let you keep doing that. It's going to say to you at some point, sorry, you have to come in the pits for a drive-through. We saw Vermeersch do it.
It's interesting because I'm scrolling through the field and I see the level for drive-through in every driver. Jonathan, do you have a drive-through penalty?
No.
Okay, fine. Then it's just a graphic quick. It's just sticking there
Lucas
showing that
Vidra
someone
is slowing down. I'm not sure what that's about, but he's all the way back to 24th place. He might have some kind of damage that he's incurred. Meanwhile, Tiago is still, and they are overtaking Jonathan now. Tiago is still right with Grant, so that little bit of a gap that he pulled out initially has evaporated, and the distance between the two of them is only 0.4 of a second right now. The gap back to Austin is 6 seconds. So
yeah, that's because they have been lapping cars, and
yes,
while overtaking is hard to run away. But in any case, this obviously means for Grant some pressure in that he can't relax. Any error, the smallest of the errors, and then Thiago gets his position.
Johnson has got a good, has got a decent cushion between himself and David Jakes, who's running in 4th. He overtakes John Cook to put him a lap down. So, and yeah, you're right. Lapping cars here is actually more difficult than you might think. So, but as you can see, John is trying his best to make it easy for people. But
one of the things that makes it hard here is the changes in elevation, because the car, of course, when it goes uphill, all the weight is going uphill, and then all of a sudden the track goes down, and then you want to go down, but there is an inertia of the car that is still going upwards, as if it was going to take off. So that unloads a lot the wheels. So there are several turns where you have to both turn and at the same time go from upwards to downwards, and those are very delicate because of how the weight shifts in the car.
Tiago continuing to stalk Grant Riddall as they head into... Oh goodness, there's a bit of a bottleneck here as they come upon Raul Ureb and Gerard Rion, but fortunately it doesn't appear that caused them any issue. They had to change direction quickly. But now they're heading for the chicane once again. Downshifting. through the chicane. Looks like Tiago's tires are doing pretty good so far, as we are now, as we cross the line now, at exactly half distance. We are starting lap 21. So at this point, you think Tiago is taking a bit of a breather, or is he trying like hell to get by Grant? Uh-oh, it appears we have a yellow flag here. What's going on? Oh, it's Little Al has had it off right near the leaders, but he appears to be rejoining with no problem. Little Al currently running
20th.
He's 20th.
So we're 4 for a battle here with a lapped car behind. Lapping car behind.
Bruno Chacon and Adam Hackman both have drive-through penalties, and so does Austin Johnson. My goodness. So people are incurring penalties left and right, and the only thing I can glean from that is that people are just taking too many liberties with the chicane, or they've made errors elsewhere. Alberto, what do you think?
Yeah, this is quite
seems
strict,
it
and
seems
the chicane is a delicate point for that.
It seems you can get them from holding up leaders as well.
My goodness.
That's what I just received.
Well, the stewards are under the misapprehension that people come to watch them throw the black flag and not the racing cars.
Whoa, and Cesarius now just spun and lost the position to Steve Parker. He's now out of track. He must rejoin safely. Not sure if his car might have stalled, because no, he has quit. It's interesting that he did. I don't think that his car was completely stopped.
My goodness. Well, Austin's going to have to go to the pits now because of this penalty. We'll see if he does this time. No, he does not. Well, oh, wait, hang on. I was thinking it was going to be... No, he's going to stay out. I'm not sure how many laps they give you before you have to go in the pits. I'm guessing it's 3.
Come on, that wasn't a blue flag? Ay, ay, ay.
Well, in spite of having this penalty, Reese Gardner is still running 10th. I don't know if he's taken his penalty yet by driving through, but I'm sure that there's going to be plenty of discussion about this situation later on. But I'll let the admins and the race organizers deal with that. And we also have Mick Chapman. He's cruising along here in 14th place. He's followed by David Saber and Dave Miller. These two seem to be joined at the hip for most of this race. Oh, goodness. Dave Miller has got some serious damage on the left-hand side of his car. His left front fender opening is looking like something that Marcello Gandini would design for Lamborghini. Doesn't look like a German fender flare. Yeah, that's quite strange.
So Tiago Canola now again on Grant Vidal's tail. And I would say from the way the Grant's car moves, that it might be that his tires are starting to protest against the treatment they are receiving. They're very likely overheated at this point.
So the race is just a little under a half an hour old. We are working the 24th lap. So in another 5 laps or so, we're going to start to see the cars getting kind of squirrely, I think. Austin has stayed out, which begs the question, are the penalties that we're seeing real, or are they some kind of phony ones being thrown up by the game?
I don't think that there was any penalty that was not deserved. People have been cutting quite liberally because, to be honest, the track is quite inviting in that regard. It's
well, the thing is that a blue flag is also causing penalties, so that's one of those we may need to look at though.
Tiago still shadowing Grant Riddall here as we cross the line now with 25 laps complete.
Now Austin Johnson going again through the start-finish line without stopping.
Well, that makes me wonder about what the limitation is, how many laps you can go before you serve a penalty, before you incur a disqualification. David Jakes has just been issued a penalty. So all the big guys getting teed up here.
Wonder what the reason is in this case.
Yeah, it's definitely a head scratcher. I don't know. New year, new mysteries for us to solve.
Let me check. Well, probably for cutting in the chicane.
Yes.
Because he got it after going through the chicane, and he certainly put the wheel in the grass. So it's, mind you, it might very well happen that you have been warned several times about that, and then when you do it for the, I don't know, second, third, fourth time, the game gives you the penalty.
Maybe. Tiago overtakes Bruno Chacon, and in spite of all the lapping that's been going on, he's staying right there close to Grant, so you never know. We might see him make a late try for the
Gardner
win.
and Lavac are pretty close, side by side now.
Yeah, Lavac is closed up to Gardner. So that 10th place that he had comfortably. Bruno has gotten a drive-through now. Maybe that's from blue flags. Goodness. Is USAC officiating this race? I'm half tempted to look in the pits for USAC, man. Things have calmed down a bit now between Lavik and Gardner. Although Gardner checks up a great deal. I think he might be starting to have tire issues. Oh, goodness! There's a spin behind them. I believe that's John Cook.
Yep.
Yep, John
Got
Cook.
just a bit loose on the brakes there.
John Cook just a bit loose, but he's coming through now. Looks like he's going to be okay. Peter Lavik now looking at possibly overtaking Gardner. But I gotta say, Reese is doing a really excellent job in his HSO debut. New to us, but certainly not new to the art of sim racing, it would seem.
Well, the leaders are certainly getting no penalties, so maybe it's a matter of the blue flag being too sensible.
Oh, Austin Johnson is now, oh no, he's lapping Adam Hackman, sorry. My apologies, the car looked similar to one of the front runners. Tiago's gap to the leader is now about 1.3 seconds. So Grant is stretching it out a little bit. It'll be interesting to see if...
Oh, and Peter Lavak is now behind Chris Gardiner. Seems that he wants that last
He
point
does.
position.
There's high stakes here because that's a point as they come up to Alberto Aquino, who tries to get out of the way, and I think he actually might have caused some confusion there, and Labick gets right by in the straight, just motors right past Gardner. So, I mean, it's unfortunate because we would have loved to have seen a straight-up battle there, but a slight backmarker miscommunication causes that, I think. But Gardner's not letting up. He's going to keep hounding Peter here. We'll see if he can reel him back in.
Jonathan, what did you do now?
I haven't done a thing.
Well,
How come do you ask?
I just got a message that you got the race to penalty.
Hackman just did.
Okay, that must be a glitch from
At least I haven't had anything on my screen yet.
Okay. So maybe some of the penalties that we are seeing in the broadcast aren't actually real. It's a kind of glitch.
Well, we are seeing. I mean, those
Might
of you,
explain why they are not actually stopping.
Well, those of you who are watching the broadcast will not have failed to notice that there's a serious lag issue going on with the game. It's been experienced by myself and by Alberto. We're not entirely sure what the issue is. It does not appear to be graphics related. It appears to be server speed related in some way, which is bizarre. But I'm sure that the race organizers will look into this and find a way of rectifying the situation. In any case, we appreciate your patience where that's concerned. You know the old saying, best laid plans often go astray.
Something I have noticed while driving here is that there is blue flag text warning showing up every now and then, but there's no one to put the blue flag on me, so to speak. So,
well, that would certainly point to a lag issue. Another penalty being, yeah, I'm starting to think these are just phantom penalties at this point. So Grant now has 10 laps to go in this race, and he's got a very healthy gap between himself and Thiago, and then it's 12 seconds further back from that to Austin Johnson, and Austin's got about a 2-second cushion between himself and David Jakes. So realistically, it looks like in the top 5, the most chance for a change in position is going to be well, maybe, I don't know. It looks like a longer gap than I figured it would. Yunt is starting to close a bit on Jakes, so maybe he's thinking about getting something more than just a top 5.
The three-way battle at the moment is Steve Parker, Ray Riddle, and Gerard Rion. Those are the ones that are closest now, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, it's one of the closest battles on track right now.
Wow, David Saber just went off track and has lost the position to Mick Chapman. Austin Johnson.
Yeah, he's coming back on now as Austin Johnson
now
overtakes him. So there are 9 laps to go now. It's interesting how the front 2 cars are B&S fabrication cars. Of course, this is a spec series, so it could be any car up front, technically speaking. It's interesting, though, that one of the leading teams from this series ends up being the leading car. 2 leading cars in this race.
People that actually are driving cars that won in real life races, because Hans took both and won several races, and so did Didier Pironi. I think
yes,
France actually was involved. Well, anyways, yeah, they belong to good drivers also in real life.
So the gap is increasing. Grant Riddle is definitely you know, Oh, whoa, whoa! He has a bit of a moment as he goes to.
Yeah, I told you at this point of the race the tires would start to heave.
That caused Tiago to close in quite a bit. That he basically gained a second there because of the issue that Grant had, and now Gerard has let Tiago by, so he's back in direct contact with the leader. So at least visual contact. So we'll have to see if the lapped traffic ahead. Oh my goodness, there's a real gaggle of cars in front of Grant right now as they come through to complete lap number 33. So it's Alberto Aquino, and he's actually Raul Ureb has been disqualified from the race. I do not know why.
I think he served the drive-through penalty recently, and he is now probably has been given again a penalty for shortcutting or whatever, and this time it's already disqualifying.
Well, Grant is now past Little Al. He's coming up on one of the denim-sponsored cars.
Ooh, Thiago
it's
Canola put the
Reydal.
wheel in the grass, and that nearly cost him spin.
Well, he's definitely it's cost him some time. He's now 2.5 seconds back as opposed to 1.5. Grant is now trying to look for a way by. We've got John Cook and Ray to contend with. He gets by both of them quite well without too much trouble.
Of traffic here for the leaders.
Yeah, the traffic is really hairy at this point for both Grant and for Tiago. But I think Grant ended up with better situation there. Now Tiago is behind these two, Ray and John, and he's going to have to contend with them on the backside of the course, where it's far harder to lap people. Working lap 36 now, out of 40. I'm going to be heading to an event at some point here, well, immediately following this race, so you'll have to forgive me for not sticking around to do the post-race interviews. So as soon
Peter
as
Labak just diving on the inside on Juha Bosch. Seems he's able to make it stick.
yeah, he got by. Let's take a look at that in a replay. He does it in the chicane. Yeah, that's probably, I mean, no real surprise there. Ooh, there was a bit of contact too.
Nick Chapman also looking at overtaking David Saber. I'd say that David is having some problems with the tires by now. Nick Chapman trying to get past him. Seems he got a better exit from the turn. And side by side he should... nope. He wasn't able to complete the maneuver there.
John Cook is looking to overtake Little Al.
Whoa, there's a spinner car sliding to the gravel there in front. That's Ray Reydal
Oh no!
rejoining the track now.
He's back on now, but yeah, that's unfortunate, especially after all the fun battles he had been having. Jonathan 18th, Dave Miller 17th.
Whoa, look at John Cook.
Oh, Steve Parker is out of the race.
Oh, my
Not
goodness.
sure what happened there, but he is. Let's do a replay. Oh, it's too far back. Dave Miller 16th. Adam Hackman is 15th. Mick is right with David Saber now. Another chance for him to climb up the ranks, but and Reese is 11th still. And Juha's, you know, if he can keep this car going, the Pooh car, he's going to get 1 point for the Pooh team. But he's not all that far behind Peter Hlavik and Yves Placé, but I would think that it's probably a bit far for him to make up. Final laps of this race.
With so much lapping, it's hard to keep up with the order. because you see many cars that are actually, well, not in the position you would expect when you look at the cars around them.
So as Grant comes by this time, there'll be 3 laps to go. Coming down the long straight.
And then another one on the gravel. Comes back quickly. I think it was Ray Riddle again. I saw that in the background. Yeah, I think it was. Seems that his tires are by now completely total. Absolutely destroyed.
Well, I gotta say, you know, for a guy who drives 10/10ths all the time, Grant's tires look like they're in pretty good shape. I would have thought that he would have issues towards the end based on his driving style, but he made a liar out of me because the car doesn't. He's not throwing the car into corners. Oh my goodness, Ray Riddle has also been disqualified from the race. That elevates. It's going to elevate several people, and not in the points realm, but that's our second DQ in the race. So the rule makers definitely asserting their authority out here. So this time by, there will be 2 laps to go in the race. Grant coming through the chicane. Oh, very close to cutting it there. And as he crosses the line, there'll be 2 laps to go. Thiago keeping him in his sights and just posted the fastest lap of the race, 1:11.048. So he's certainly not content to stay in second place. He's trying his best.
Well, it's his birthday.
Yes. Well, I mean Thiago.
Ah, sorry.
Yeah,
So
Thiago
thinking
just
about
set the
us,
fastest lap, so he's certainly doing his best to stay with Grant because you never know what'll happen. I mean, Grant could run into traffic. In fact, he does have a car ahead of him here, but I would venture to say it's not going to be a big issue. It's not like the gaggle of cars that he was coming upon. It's Jonathan.
Yep.
So, Jonathan, you don't want to make the highlight reel for the wrong reason here. Don't pull a Takuma and take the leader out of the race.
Certainly try not to.
Yep. All right.
I don't understand how they are doing it because I've flat spotted my tires.
Well, I don't know. It's just, you're asking the wrong guy. White flag is out now. 1 lap to go. Just 1 for our leader, Grant Riddle, who's got a 2-second lead on Thiago Canola. They're coming up now to lap the aforementioned Johnny Aces. Yeah, Grant certainly is taking care of his car. He's locking up there, but he doesn't appear to have any serious handling issues.
Or he's able to cope better with them than the rest of the field.
Perhaps. Maybe he's schooled in the art of trail braking.
You can't trail brake these cars. If you do, you're off.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep.
Well, it shows how much I know. Grant.
I started in front wheel, so I should know that.
Grant is exiting the final turn, or now into the final turn, right and left, and he'll be looking at a checkered flag, the first of 2019. As he comes off the turn, weaves from side to side in celebration, and there it is. Wait a minute. What's going on here? Look at the results. Austin Johnson has been declared the winner.
All the penalties that they haven't
no!
taken.
Oh, good grief. What is going on? Oh, what a... So it appears a bunch of people have been handed penalties. I'm not even going to bother going through the final results because I'm quite certain that this is going to be... my goodness, it's showing Yves Poisset is the winner now. Oh, man, what a... Yeah, people slowing down going, what? world is this? Well, certainly that's not the result that we wanted, but apparently there's some kind of issue here that needs to be resolved by the the game is now showing Reese Gardner as the race winner. He had a good race, but not that good. Any thoughts, guys, before we close out the broadcast? Because I've got to go, unfortunately.
Bit disappointed with
okay.
my.
Go
ahead.
It's a bit of a disappointment in that regard. The on-track action was great, and the driving was great. It's only a pity that the game, I don't know why it has been doing these stupid things, but anyways, we have the reply, we can review it and give the people the proper finishing order. So
yeah,
we'll take care of that.
This is certainly going to be a job for the admins to try to figure this out, but in the interim, at least as it appeared on track, it appeared Grant Riddall had taken the win. At least visually, that is what we saw. So, goodness. All right, well, I'm going to have to bolt. Thank you both very much for participating. And next week we have the IndyCar race. I don't know if Jonathan's going to be broadcasting that.
I will indeed be broadcasting
All right,
that.
then I'll get some graphics going for you. This is Jason White
Yes.
saying so long from Donington Park.